Today, we're going to talk about the importance of photos, floor plans, and virtual tours with our good friend, Peter from Box Brownie, the #1 photo editor in the world, I think, at this point, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Thank you for having me, Jesse. It's great to be here. I'm delighted to be joining you all the way from Australia today. Yeah, as Jesse said, my name's Peter. I hang around conference circuits with this man way too much. My wife started getting jealous last year. That's another story, though. We quite often go to conferences, and my job is to run around the globe, looking at different forms of marketing and bringing, I guess, new trends, things, having a look at some data and some statistics, which we're doing today, right, Jesse?
We are. So that is a perfect segue, as a true professional that you are, talking about a little bit of the National Association of Realtors puts out a study every year. And what we wanted to focus on was, what does the home buyer search look like, and the importance of kind of imagery in that as an experience for basically buyers that are looking for homes. Because as a real estate marketer and a real estate agent, the first thing you have to do basically is attract customers and make sure that you're marketing that property to as many people as possible and exposing that property to as many people as possible to obviously get the highest, sale for that customer. And so this particular study that goes out talks about what consumers value in terms of marketing and imagery and things like that, and the things that they value the most when they see property being advertised. So I'm going to let you kind of take it from here. And I think we just start from the top and make our way down.
Yeah, so this is an unbelievable list. I wish every nation had this. You guys are actually quite fortunate that the National Association of Realtors puts together this generational home buyer trend. And the important part to take away from this is on this page is so much data that should impact upon you as far as what purchasers actually want when it comes to property marketing. And the first thing you can see overwhelmingly there at 87%. I find it very useful, but if you follow on from that, somewhat useful is 11%. There's 1% that did not use or not available. I don't know who the heck they are, but maybe not available.
Right.
Is a bit of an issue, but let's go with 99%. So the overwhelming stat that you have here is your photos are important, and that's a bit of a smack in the face for some agents who were running around taking photos on their smartphone of toilets or anything that and putting rubbish up on their MLS, I suppose, is the way that I'll go with that, because there's actually no reason for it. Number one, we would suggest at Box Brownie using a professional photographer, and I'm well aware, having been an agent in a remote regional area, that sometimes you don't have the budget. Sometimes that's just not an option. You can't afford it. They don't have the budget. The access to a professional photographer is not there. Look, your photos are that important. That's what that study is telling you, that you have to do something about it. I would highly suggest, if you're taking your own photos, that you edit them in some way, shape, or format. We do that at Box Brownie. You should be able to see. This is actually an after image. I'll go to the before. So this is taken on an iPhone 6. It's really not expensive. You can phase between the before and after all day long. Obviously, there's not a person in the world that would not click on that second image before the first one. And the first image says to me, number one, it's been taken on a smartphone. Number two, it's a she'll be right attitude. Kind of, I'm just going to let it go and it'll be okay. And don't forget, even though we're talking a lot about what the purchasers want, if I'm a landlord or I'm a seller, I'm looking at that image there in front of you going, look, they just don't care. Whereas I see this one from Agent X down the road and I go, wow, that's mind blowing. And just so you know, the difference is $1.60. That's, this is not a sell. I guess I say that to put out to you that you're not going to break the bank. This is no longer something that's unaffordable that you can't do on a regular basis, or you can't do with 5 to 10 of those images. You really just can. So that's on generally taking photos. I would encourage you, if you're taking photos using a smartphone, to actually do something about it, professionally edit them. There are other tips and tricks as well. One of the most effective ones, just to go back into the screen share here,
Sure.
Is where you take a daytime photo and you convert it to a twilight. I mean, it doesn't just have to be you take the photo and you convert it to twilight. You might choose to use professional twilight photography, which again is something that we recommend. That's available. Generally, your photographer will charge an extra $150 or $200 to turn up and take it at twilight. But
Sure.
that, really, really good way of representing the property. The other way you can do it is the $4 edit that we have, where we take a daytime photo and we convert it to twilight. Now, Jesse, I know you know this. Again, there's nothing really wrong with the first image, but the second one is going to get you 4 times more clicks on the NAR. On the MLS. That's an NAR stat about the 4 times more clicks. So, I know you find the psychology of these images quite interesting.
I think if you think of a consumer journey, we know that, 99% of them are going to end up on a portal, and your cover shot or that primary outside photo of that property is probably going to be the one that is going to be the hero shot. And if they're looking at 10 photos, because you're technically competing against 10 other properties initially, whether it's an MLS search on a portal, and if you got one of those that is really standing out because it's got a nice sunset or a dusk photo behind it, it's going to naturally stand out just from the other ones that are there, and it's going to attract more clicks. And I think you have some studies in terms of the number of clicks more that it actually does, right?
Yeah. Well, your studies actually, the National Association of Realtors, being an Australian, I can't take ownership, but a massive study was done on twilight shots back in 2017. And the stat is they get 4 times more clicks, or up to 4 times. Mm-hmm. So at least 3, sometimes 4. And that's a huge stat. If I told you that I could do one thing to one image, that meant that it would get 2 times as many stats, you would therefore put that as your hero shot. But, sitting at 3 times at least, I would be every day of the week. You only really have to do one shot, take it from a daytime to a twilight. I'd be doing that for $4. In fact, here's a listing tip for you. I used to drive past all of the properties that I listed. I'd take a photo of the front and I'd twilight convert it, and that would sit as the marketing central piece on my CMA when I bought them a CMA. And instantly, there's a bunch of things that go through your seller's minds at that stage. Did he come back and take a photo at sunset? Right. You look like an absolute rock star, and I guarantee you the 10 other agents coming in after you won't have a beautiful, modern, contemporary twilight photo that forms part of our CMA. So, think outside the square, and don't think about just marketing the property. Think about how you can do it to actually win a listing. But I think sorry.
I was going to say the interesting part too, in terms of that marketing aspect that you're talking about, is most sellers are actually start off as a buyer first. So what ends up happening, again, National Association of Realtors, about 65% of consumers that buy a house are actually move up or move downs. So, and a lot of times they're going to try and get motivated about finding a home that they like. So if you're attracting the listing initially through beautiful imagery and you get them exciting and start that conversation, and then that leads into, well, I currently own a house that I also need to list. You're already at a competitive advantage because they already know that you're professional, and that you're presenting this imagery that just looks so much better. And that in itself will probably win, transactions, as you're kind of mentioning. If you combine that with additionally the CMA showings and all of that stuff, those are game changing kind of.
And let's face it, we're a relationship business. If you form a good relationship the first time someone has a point of contact or a port of call with you, you're going to, maybe you've got a property management division. You're going to rent them a house. You're going to sell them a house. You're going to find an investment property for them further down the track. This is a relationship for life. If you look at it like that and you actually consider it, I wish more agents would look at that holistically and go, it's just different stages of their life. It's the same purchaser all the way through. That tenant will end up being an investor one day. So if I give them a bad experience as a tenant, then Anyway, I digress. Let's go back to that list. So we've dealt with good photography.
Yeah. Also, just one last thing in terms of the psychology of the image, the dusk photo. I think this is really important. Is that it's, you know, buying a new home is about lifestyle. That's a lot of what people want to try and achieve, right? There's a kind of a vision of that. And so that psychology of the dusk photo is that tends to be the way that you're going to see your home or imagine coming home from work and seeing your house that way. And it creates a sense of warmth and family and things like that. So I think that that's really important. Do you have any like stats or like interesting facts on that as well?
Not really, except to say that that is the time that everyone comes home. That's the time that I'm cracking a beer or a wine. That's the time we're spending time with a significant other. It is the most looked forward to time of the day. No one says, please show me that property at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Right. Well, it's usually towards your back anyway, as you're driving away.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Yeah, very powerful, that twilight conversion.
Yep, for sure. So let's head back over into our list here and take a look at some of the next information that comes through on here. Floor plans, you know, the detailed information about the properties for sale, we're going to take that as the copy that's associated with there. And I think that copy could really be complemented by the imagery as well.
Well, let me come back to that at the end. Let's go to floor plans first. I'll come back and I'll throw some shade at copy towards the end.
Yeah, so as far as floor plans are concerned, we're here in the United States. I know that this is, most MLSs don't even have a way to show floor plans. For agents, sometimes they feel like there's a lot of work in terms of generating a floor plan or getting a floor plan in. Can you give us some color in terms of what's the difference between the US and around the world, and how can we make this easier and the importance of it?
Yeah. So in the US, the National Association of Realtors stat is that only 5% of American listings have a floor plan. It's certainly when you speak to agents around America, they will say, I only do it for X amount of my properties. I don't do it for all of the ones. I'll only do it when they actually have a floor plan. And even that process is quite difficult. They would have to cut it out or paste it in. You know, if we look at stats from around the globe, here in Australia, 95% of listings, all listings, for rent, for sale, commercial, luxury, they all have a floor plan attached to it. In fact, we have a stat here in Australia that 9 out of every 10 buyers would ignore a listing if it didn't have a floor plan attached to it. Right. Now, that is not true with the US because you have a different system of measurement. But around the rest of the globe, that stat holds up pretty well. In the UK, they sit at 92% have a floor plan attached to it. In the EU, it sits at 87%, and in Asia, it sits at 76%. I mean, even Asia, when I compare Thailand portals with American portals, the massive difference in there is the prevalence of a floor plan, or the fact that they're in there. They don't even look pretty, and it is a bit like video. So, you know, there's an unhealthy fear factor. I certainly know when I'm dealing with agents, they'll go, oh, I don't like the way I look on a video, and they'll have this huge fear factor about putting it up there. To be honest, if you just put this floor plan up there, great. At least you've got some kind of representation. But what I'd encourage you to do is take a snapshot of the floor plan and redraw it like that. Right. It's $24. It's overnight. This particular floor plan demonstrates really, really well, you know, the flow of the house. And that's what you've got to remember. The purchaser coming in doesn't understand how the house flows. They're visual. They try and start imagining how they're living in that space. And there's nothing that says, you know, this is the way you live in that space better than a floor plan. Right. Now, it doesn't have to be like that. Most of your sellers won't have a floor plan. Draw one for all I care. It doesn't have to be amazing. Right. The one that you see there, Jesse, I reckon anyone can draw that. I really don't think it's that difficult. We redraw that. It's $24. This is the standard I got to at the end of my practicing real estate career. So I was practicing up until 3 years ago. I actually had to redraw a floor plan last month, and I still haven't lost. It's a skill that you don't lose. I would get to this stage where I'd we have graph paper. Actually, if you go to our blog, which is boxbrownie.com/B, there are maybe 13 different pieces on how to draw a floor plan. But the couple of things I'd encourage you is it's not complex. Keep it simple. Start by leaving out the measurements. So when you see the grid paper there, the way I started out by doing it was actually stepping. One step was a grid space.
Right.
And I wouldn't make any representation for video. For video. I
Square
wouldn't
footage.
make any square footage. I wouldn't do any of that. I just wanted the house in perspective as best I could. So, estimate. We even have a little disclosure that we can put down the bottom that says that this is just a visual guide, and you should not rely on the accuracy of this floor plan. So, you can put that in at Box Brownie. You can put that disclosure in. But I would take this and turn it into this. Again, that's part of a listing trick, is that I would use a floor plan to gain the listing. I would actually, when the purchaser sent in a text to say, by the way, Pete, I'd like you to come out and have a look at 456 Smith Street, I would ask them straight away, do you have a floor plan? So, yeah, I would then attach that to the CMA. So now on your CMA, you have a twilight conversion and you'd have a redrawn floor plan. And you're never having a conversation with that seller again about, whether you can market a property, because they'll know straight away.
Yeah.
But look, remove the fear factor. And you're at home right now, practice on your home. I'm assuming you all have a roof over your head.
Right.
Walk around and draw it and start from scratch. Look, definitely go to our blog. There are videos, there are text examples, there are instructional sort of guides as to how to go about it. We even give you the graph paper, and you'll notice on that one that's in front of you, you'll see funny little symbols for the hot plate or the laundry or the bathroom. They're all on there as a key, so you can just redraw them. So we try and make it as simple as possible. It's $24 to $32 to redraw these. I'd certainly be doing it.
So all they need to do is draft this on a piece of paper like this, or if it was like maybe on a piece of napkin from a bar, like from memory, you could take a picture of it and send it in.
Yes, it's funny. It's funny you should say that. Yes, we can. So here is one. This is taken from a McDonald's napkin. There we go. That's on the back of a Macca's napkin. We redrew that. And you'll notice also, the other thing I'll point out is the floor plans, even though that one has rough measurements on it, the agent has done that as their own guide. If you look at this one, there are no measurements on it.
Right. Yeah.
But it actually tells the person what it does. Now, I have seen agents using this in tandem with call action. Like, I've seen lots of agents using this. Can you tell me a little bit about how they go about using it? I mean, I don't know if your viewers know, but I'm a raving call action fan. I use call action through all my presentations. If I was practicing in real estate, I'd be having a number on everything. People would get sick of me.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good segue, because if we go back, let me share going back to that specific stat in here. As Peter kind of alluded to, most people are not leveraging the floor plans because they don't have an easy way to distribute the floor plans. So in call action, what we've been doing is we take basically your floor plans that you guys are creating, saving that online as either a PDF or as an image file along with the CMA. And then we have our agents basically create a text for info campaign. And so they text the address of the property, they instantly get back that floor plan. But what we're doing is we're leveraging this demand that we know the National Association of Realtors is telling us from buyers in the home search process, that 50 or 60% of people want these, but yet other agents don't have it available. So by simply attaching this to a text for info campaign through call action, we're able to use this as a lead gen tool for $25, $30, generate basically the floor plan through Box Brownie, put it on call action, do a Facebook Live, talk about the property, have the text for info on there, or in your videos or anything else that you may do. Simply have a simple link that says text for info and then send that stuff in. And you're going to generate leads like crazy. So that kind of capitalizes off of this gap between expectation, consumer expectation, and what we as the real estate industry is doing basically as far as providing to them. And I think that takes us over into a pretty good segue for maybe the virtual tours. If we look at the real estate agent contact information, this is kind of funny. 44% of people saying that it's really important. Just from a subtle call action plug here, make sure you have your phone number listed somewhere so that people can get a hold of you when they see your beautiful imagery. And you should probably make sure that if you are spending $200 to $500 to generate a lead or buy a lead through Zillow, you're generating your own leads through phone calls that are coming from your own advertising. Make sure you capture those opportunities. So stick a call, capture phone number, whether it's ours or somebody else. Just make sure that you have some way to take advantage of this little opportunity here, which is, has some information available. The other thing off of that contact information in your email signatures, please don't make sure it's not an image of your phone number, because that's not clickable.
No.
Although this is about images here, no disservice to Peter.
Don't do it. Don't do it in your signature. Yeah. Don't make your email address, your phone number, any of that. It should not be an image. It's my biggest bugbear because I hate having to retype it. I get people send me their signature, and their signature will be this massive block of JPEG. Yeah. And I'll go, what am I going to do with that image? I then have to. I'm not getting any.
Try and memorize it. It just doesn't work. So.
That's it. That's it.
Going into virtual tours here, obviously, during this time, Peter and I are both doing this remotely. It's during, COVID, and virtual tours have exploded, and I think it's here to stay and is the new norm.
Yep.
Can you share?
There's a bunch of stats. Yeah. There's a bunch of stats being thrown around at the moment. So, and it actually right at the moment, I'd hold five on looking at those stats because quite a lot of them are rubbish. Like there's one that I looked at yesterday that said that virtual tours had exploded by 600%. Well, the reference that they gave there had been one done in the previous month, and now there were 6 done. So, 600%. Look, there's a bunch of stats out there. What we do know is that all portals are reporting an upward trend of about 3 times the recent engagement. Virtual tour companies, we deal with all of them because we actually edit 360s. It's a little known fact, but we're the biggest global editor of the 360 globes. We do the same things, virtual staging and image editing and item removal and that kind of thing. We're talking to all of them, and they're all saying that there's an upward trend. What I'm about to show you is no secret. I've been running around for some time saying that if you're a real estate agent, part of your real estate agent toolkit should be a 360-degree camera. I don't actually care whether you put it on a portal, and that big words coming from someone who represents a portal. This needs to be part of your agent toolkit. It's not the case of you'll be an early adopter. You've missed that by about 5 years. You are now behind the status quo. So you need yourself a 360 camera to represent that property in some way. And I'll tell you why. We'll go over some free uses for it. Facebook being one of them. But this Ricoh Theta V is one of the cameras that we recommend as being the best on the market. And you will need a monopod with it. I suppose the reason we recommend the Ricoh Theta V is it's the most universally accepted as being medium range budget, being about $280 on Amazon. It also takes incredible pictures, some of the best quality in the world. Like any camera, we think those images need to be edited, is our take on that. However, right here, right now, in this particular moment and in the climate that we write in, I would just be focused on getting some kind of immersive marketing using 360 to market. I think that's more important right now. So, the Ricoh Theta V, we recommend a monopod, and then you have your choice of 360 platforms. And to be honest, there's hundreds of them. There's Matterport, there's Ricoh Tours, there's ImmoViewer, there's Agulo, there's Nodal View, there's iSpy 360, there's Virtual Tours Creator, there's Giraffe 360. I could go on all day. Realistico is out of Italy. We deal with all of them. You need to go to those portals and assess which one of those is best going to fit your operation as an agent or a broker. And that could be on price, it could be on subscription terms, it could be on cost of hardware, remembering some of them require hardware. It could be on ease of use, the time it takes you to actually shoot a property. So, virtual tours are going to be, in my opinion, within the next 10 years, the go-to. They will replace probably 2D imagery as being the incumbent, sitting at number one spot. It'll replace digital stills. I think within 10 years, we will be showing purchasers using immersive rooms like theatres. We'll actually be showing them through properties to better qualify them, or it could be in the comfort of their own home. And I don't mean using the goggles. I actually think we'll be putting them into actual theatres where in real time, they can see in 4, 8, 10K, 16K, what that property is in the morning. They can hear it. They can hear what it's like at night. So this is just the start, and you'll be forever known as being on this. But you have to get on it. You absolutely have to jump on it. If all you do with the 360 camera is take a coming soon photo and putting it up in your jurisdiction, if that lets you do it, great. But there is so much more you can do with the 360 camera. Like I use it at the pub, let's be honest. I'm down there with people. I want to take social photos. There's nothing more immersive. 360 tours look like this. This one's ours. Really, I'm not doing a great job of selling it, but it is a good portal in its own right. It's no subscription. It's there for the users that want to do a 360 virtual tour every now and then. Really simple to use. You would get the 360 camera, you'd get the monopod, you'd take it and put it at spots throughout the property, and then you'd upload it. Our tours start at $16, and they cap out at something like 40. And it's all based on the amount of 360 images that you take. So most houses, 85% of houses we estimate will fit into the 15 image, which is $16. So most of you are going to be looking at that $16. Pretty simple to use. You just upload it and you go from there. And don't forget, imagery is the same as digital stills. Here are our, Nodal View, which is they're a French provider. Also good in their own right. Really hard customer service if you don't speak French, but this is us editing their image, so we can do that same kind of thing, and we can obviously also add furniture. We can digitally stage it. So all of those things are available to you if you want to use them on a in a virtual tour. But coming back to the point, I suppose there's one thing I'm disappointed about is it took a global catastrophe or a pandemic for people to actually realize that purchasers wanted these. It is number 4 on the list. And as I said to you, Jesse, it rose sharply from 2015. This was sitting at 16. It's sitting at number 4 now. My anticipation is next year, it'll probably be at number 3, especially after what we've just been through.
Yes, but some color to that too. I know that I just listened to the Zillow conference call for their first quarter calls, and on the investor calls, they also validated that the 360 tours and virtual tours have exploded on the Zillow platform as well. And that, like you said, that immersive experience of being able to kind of walk through that property just without the headset, I think makes it feel pretty good because they get an idea of what the flow is. Now, am I correct in assuming the process of shooting these 3D floor plans is as simple as set up the monopod in each room, press the click button, do that per every room? It creates a kind of a bubble image, and then you guys stitch that all together?
Yeah, you can take that. That's the very basis. So right here, right now, where it's all about speed of getting to market. They're not already, if you don't already have one, I'd just be doing that. I'd be putting it in the middle of the room, shooting it, and then I'd be uploading it online to whichever portal you choose to go to. If you want to upskill, there are a bunch of our good mate. I know Jesse knows Brad Filipponi. He's my bro from another mother. He has a bunch of educational videos on how to shoot not just 360 virtual tours, but how to upskill. So, bracketing is one of the things we talk about where it's a different technique of capturing the image so that you can see outside the windows, which, by the way, is a really, really common problem on the 360s. You can't see outside the images. So you can't see outside the windows. So if you want to upskill, those are there right here, right now. It is as simple as sticking that sticking that camera on the top of the monopod, putting it in the middle of the room, leaving the room so you're not in the shot. Remember, rookie error, hitting shoot, and it will take it. It will be on your smartphone. You just need to either, if you're going to edit it, upload it to us. If you're going to send it off to an MLS, you'll need to get it to your computer or upload it to whichever portal you need to go to. Most of the link providers will give you, or most of the MLSs will give you they'll give you a link that you can paste in your MLS. But the other thing you can do with that link is you can send it out to your peeps via call action. Like I would be totally, if somebody was interested in a house, I'd even be harvesting my database. Like I'd sit there and go, these people have looked through three bedroom, 2 bathroom, double lock-up garage. They haven't found what they're after yet. I've just listed another 3 of them. I'm going to send them a call action test going, hey, I've got another 3. Would you like to have a look at them? I've got a virtual tour available. They can just respond to you, and they can get that via a link. It'll load up on their smartphone. People are really interactive these days. You've seen them on Facebook. You know what they do when you twist them around. So yeah, I'd be doing that every day of the week.
Yeah, we did. With some of our customers, we're actually running sign writers on the outside of the property that says view 3D tour, and they text for information, and then it just sends them back that link. And some wins out of that is A, you send them the link, so now they're immersed into that particular property. But B, we could take what was an offline experience initially, which is just the phone number, upload that into Facebook, and then start to remarket them so that you could stay kind of omnipresent the whole entire time. But if they do shoot these 3D Matterport or these kind of tours, basically these virtual tours using the camera, that can automatically create the floor plans too, right?
In some instances, the Ricoh Theta, it depends on the portal. So for ours, it won't do it. For most of them, it won't. You really have to go to a Matterport camera to do that. There's another one called Arca Stitch or Arca Room, I think they're called, and they also have a scanner. You'll notice with both of those scanners that they will actually scan the room, so they'll swirl around. Any of those that will do it. Ricoh are saying to us, Ricoh Japan, the manufacturers of the camera, are saying to us the current cameras have the ability to do it, but they haven't refined the actual software in order to harvest that yet. So I think you'll see that as a matter of time. That'll be coming. But no, most of them.
The difference in terms of shooting the photo with that and then doing a hand sketched while you're sketching it is going to, from a cost perspective and a time perspective, is probably significantly better anyway. So
and you know what I say is use the one that suits you. We never devised this 3D virtual tour platform to compete with the other providers. I mean, invariably we're in the same space. We don't actually make money on it. We've put it out there as a hosting service because we see a need in the market for people who don't want a subscription. Really, all we're interested in is the editing. We've always been a photo editing company. So what I would say to you on the 3D virtual tours is find something that works and find it quick and get going. Like, if you just want to test the waters, we're a good option for that because we don't charge you a subscription. You just use it whenever. But hey, you might test us for 3 times and go, you know what? I'm going to do with all my properties, I need 48. Subscription's a better way of going. If that's you, then go for it.
Yeah. And then in that editing on those 3D tours, I know that sometimes the way that the camera, like if you're shooting in each room, and let's say if it's a little bit darker or something, you can edit and kind of make those rooms seem a little bit lighter in color and things like that, correct?
Yeah. That's probably the biggest thing that Box Brownie has unleashed. For years, we could not understand why virtual tours have had subpar photography in them. Matterport's kind of been the incumbent because of the time it takes, but they have an automated stitching process that puts it together. And the biggest issue I would have with the Matterport tour is, especially on luxury properties, is I cannot see the view. I can't see outside the windows because there's a white haze over it. And that all solely has to do with the technique that they use to shoot it and the fact that it's automated bracketing. But if I take you to this one here, one of the beauties about the Box Brownie tour is that all of that detail outside the windows is perfectly exposed.
Mm-hmm.
You can see, you know, there's probably a $2 million view. And this is my complaint when using Matterport on a luxury, whilst it gives you the lovely dollhouse. And I love that. I think their software is second to none. The biggest issue I have is just the image quality is under our expectations for professional photography. And that's probably the other thing that we have that's a huge advantage. But again, you know, choose the one that suits you.
Sure.
I'm not telling you don't use Matterport. One of the things I really like about Matterport is you can book it. You know, if a photographer will just go and do it, and you don't have to worry about it. Whereas ours is a very much you know, do-it-yourself system, or a broker has appointed someone as their marketing person, and they're going to go and do it all for you. So, you know,
I
use
think
the one
here in the
which works for you.
States too, there's a couple companies that actually, that's what they specialize in, is kind of brokering of photographers on hire. So, so that's pretty interesting stuff. So let's just kind of continue down this list, and we'll start wrapping this up here pretty soon. There's a few more things related to kind of imagery on here. Anything that stands out for you?
Yes. So the videos comes in quite low here. Let me just park that for a second, and we'll go. I am going to select 2, which is detailed information. I'm going to say 4. I'm going to say 6, detailed information about recently sold. 7, neighborhood information. 8, pending sales contract status. 9 is interactive maps. 10, about information about upcoming homes. And 12 all fit into copy or about the property. Maybe you can take the maps out of it, but the rest of it, that is all data that you need to provide to your purchasers. And even more so now, I was saying to you off call that gone are the days where you're going to wear, or, you know, you're going to take a property through 37 a property purchaser through 37 different properties in the hope that they might find the one. The sellers aren't going to want it. The purchasers aren't going to want it. You're going to have to better qualify them. And a lot of the things that you see in that guff in the text there falls under copy and essential detail. You really need to have your ducks in a row. You need to have every single bit of content ready. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't have to sit in your MLS listing. That needs to be in a concise package that you can get out. And again, you know, that might be a PDF as part of the call action sales process. It might be whatever you choose to use, but you need to have that data there. So I'm going to put all of those, just for the sake of time, into one unique ball and go, that's copy. So we're dealing with, if we look at the top 5, it's photos, it's copy with all essential detail in order. Then we go to number 3, which is a floor plan. Then we go to number 4, which is a 360 virtual tour. We've dealt with that. And the 5th thing on that list, if you take all of the other guff out, is videos. So videos, vitally important. You'll notice in videos, pretty low on what the purchaser wants. I'm going to throw in a red herring and say that videos are falling because of the rise of virtual tours, in my opinion. You know, videos only show you what the agent wants you to see. They can be very hard to customize, whereas, you know, the virtual tour, I can pause that at any stage and I can swirl around it. The one thing I would say about videos is that we're only talking at this stage about the purchaser. So, you know, don't go away and say, Peter from Boxsprout, he said, don't do videos. That's not the case at all. The one thing I would say about videos is your seller actually wants to see you do it. It's almost like a stamp or a mark of approval. A lot of sellers out there have the expectation that you do video, and you could choose to educate them about a video, but I would be putting one in at 24% of people saying very useful, 35% saying somewhat useful. You know, that still sits above 50%. I would be using that every day of the week. Your video doesn't have to be high quality. We know this because I've featured on a few of them. It doesn't have to have a model, because I certainly have featured on a few of them. It just needs to be a slow pan through the property. And the other thing I would say, I just want to show you this. This is done by my mate, Garrick Yan of the Asian Real Estate Association of America. This guy must get sick of me putting this video up, because I do it. I do it all the time. He sends me a text every time one of his friends is showing it. But this blew me away, because this was being done 3 years ago. Garrick started doing this. Is he would put his 360 camera, which I've already told you to go out and buy, on the end of a selfie stick. And I know Jesse has 50 selfie sticks. He loves a good selfie. I'm joking. But he's
Uh,
put his 360 camera, and what you're watching me is me actually swirling around the property. Now I can pause that at any stage. I can go up and down. He's showing us through a burnt out home in San Francisco for
wow.
buyers that are not even on the continent. Now,
Uh-huh.
the best part about this is free. Once you've got that 360 camera, you record this and you upload it to YouTube and you've got an instant link. So this is
Wow.
not rocket science. The
Right.
production quality is really low. Look where it ends up. You can see he's got specks of dust on his lens.
Right.
So
Right.
you know, we're certainly not talking professional. But as far as immersion is concerned, as far as actually, you know, going to a purchaser, this is the kind of stuff that they want to see. And that's
Mhm.
kind of a hybrid of video and virtual tour all in one. So I'd be encouraging you to think a little bit outside the box on that one. I think there are some really cool techniques coming through that allow people to form a better idea. And as I said at the start, qualify them better for the actual purchase of that property.
Right. Yeah. And I would almost argue too, and I'll share a little quick something here as far as video is concerned. I think it's more at the beginning of the educational process. Like most consumers are buying in an area that they're not familiar with. And so the reality is what video does a really good job of is explaining lifestyle and living there and
Mm.
what does that experience kind of look like. So we actually created a little handout here for video ideas, and most of this actually relates directly to, like we talk about, you know, video usage in here, but we talk
Yeah.
about this concept of evergreen video. And the concept of evergreen is stuff that's related to community and how-to videos and testimonials from your customers and things like that. So if anyone is interested in receiving this, you can go ahead and just text video checklist to this 855-341-3555. You'll get the checklist. It sets up the scene, what the script is, the call to action and everything. So this is a really powerful way to kind of close that
Mm.
together. And when you combine that as well with virtual tours thereafter, basically you can create kind of a seamless experience. And I think that that's where, you know, the big win is at the end of the day. It,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you raise a really, really good point. Video is essential for getting your brand out there.
Mhm.
Even generating leads, showing that you're an active member of the community, things
Right.
that just you can't put into words. I can write that Jesse Bodewin is an amazing person in his community, but again, if there's 300 videos up online on YouTube, that's going to speak louder than any words I can write. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally super cool.
Awesome. Well, you know, I think what we could do is we can kind of bring this to closure here. Ultimately, we know that imagery is the single most important thing initially to get the buyer's attention. And, you know, one thing that's really important is National Association of Realtors, 65% of people are either move up or move down. So most sellers are going to start off as a buyer initially. So if you're the agent that's out there and putting out this beautiful imagery and they're clicking through your images and seeing your videos and your virtual tours and your floor plans, you already seem so much more professional. Your listings are going to sell faster. And you're probably going to pick up more listings just because of that quality of professionalism that you're putting out there
Mm.
at the end of the day. And, you know, it's super easy and fast with obviously Peter from Box Brownie. All of the turnaround on this stuff is what are we looking at typically, like from?
Most of our service sit within a couple of hours. We say 24.
Okay.
You know, we have things like virtual staging that runs into 48 and virtual renovation that's kind of 7 days. But most of the things that you see here, the floor plans, for example, are overnight. Nearly everything's overnight.
Yeah, so a beginning to end package, let's say they come in, they shoot, you know, a 3D virtual tour, a floor plan, the image
Yep.
shot, like how much are they kind of all in if we go the Box Brownie route here?
Yeah, well, let's go from the photos. So let's say you're taking your photos yourself and you've got 10 to enhance, that's $16. Maybe it's 20 to enhance, that's 32. The floor plans are between 24 and 32. So let's say we go all out and go the expensive one, that's 64. The virtual tour, assuming you've got the camera, is an extra $16. We're sitting at $80. for really all of that, you've got the photos. You might want to add a $4 twilight conversion on there. That's 84. And maybe you want to stage 2 rooms. If I could tell you that you could fit it all in under $150, all of that, like 20 photos, 1 twilight conversion, a floor plan, a virtual tour, and 2 staged images. Most of you pay that for a single photo shoot. So, we're not expensive. We don't break the bank. We can make you look pretty professional.
And the marketing that comes out of that, the ability to, try and beat out either the portals themselves or stand out in that Facebook feed when you're putting out materials out there, and your sphere of influence is seeing the materials that you're putting out, they're going to be much more likely to share those images and comment and do everything like that, which is naturally going to make it a little bit more viral. So.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's nothing. I get tagged, I think maybe 20 or 30 times a day in images, which is really, it's humbling, to be honest, that people have taken themselves and they've enhanced, and it's made them look amazing because it's a stunning edit. It's not just stunning to you as an agent; it is absolutely stunning to your seller. So, ride that rock star wave.
And, if you're representing them as a buyer, I was just kind of thinking about this out loud. Imagine just printing that and then doing that as a framed picture. A lot of people are looking for a closing gift. Give them a picture of their house, the nice sunset photo and with the little watermark of you and the name of your company, and kind of make that something they can hang on the wall. And there's your gift that's going to last forever.
Definitely. I'll tell you, we've got a few stories about that.
Okay.
I've got one in particular where people came over. I actually did that with a pool. I knew they wanted to put a pool in the backyard. So we virtually renovated the house and put the pool in. They framed it. I didn't. I wasn't quick on the punch. They framed the before and after, and they put it up in the little barbecue area. I got so many leads from that because people are coming over and it's a hot summer and they go into the pool and they're going, what's this? What's this before and after? And they said, well, our real estate agent designed our pool. Now, Jesse will tell you, I'm not a pool designer. In all fairness, I got a pen and I squiggled in the backyard. And that is now the shape of that pool. So, I got so many leads. They just kept on coming through. Are you the guy who designed the pool? Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I mean, and those little things, like, from just a long-term follow-up and nurturing a customer, what's interesting is in that first year or two of someone buying a home and moving in, like that's when all of the referrals and the word of mouth and all of those kind of stories that are going to come out of that consumer's experience is where you as a real estate agent are going to get that business. And I think it was Facebook did a study, and it was something like 36% of people were influenced by their friend buying a house and posting their story online. And so if you're giving them the imagery to share and brag about their place, you're naturally going to pick up some business, because all of that is going to cycle through like, hey, congratulations on buying that new house. They're going to contact your past client, and that past client hopefully is going to recommend you as the real estate agent. So
sphere of influence is massive. Every time I see Jesse post a photo of his scooter behind him, I want to go out and buy it.
Well, I've got a few of them. So anytime you want to come on over, like that layover in LAX whenever you come through. So
if only I could actually fly over there right now, I would take you up on that.
Yep. Well,
we'll get there.
It's just a matter of time. And in the meantime, make sure to leverage those virtual tours, because that's definitely something that's here to stay and is not going anywhere. And so, Peter, I just want to say thank you very much for spending a little bit of time with us today and sharing some of your insights, giving us a quick rundown. I think, people need to leverage the floor plan. This is a great lead gen opportunity for every agent. Your twilight photos to get more clicks and get those properties sold faster. So again,
thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. How should
they contact you? I'm going to assume it's at boxbrownie.com. That's right behind you.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, you can look, actually, if you want any of our services, you can go to boxbrownie.com, sign up for free. There's no subscription. Just use it whenever you want. There's 24-hour customer service chat and phone numbers. If you need to reach me, if you want to hurl abuse at me for any of the things I've said today, it's Peter in your language, Peter at boxbrownie.com. You can send me emails. I'm on all of the face tubes and U-books except for Tinder and Grindr. So you'll find me out there as you need to. I've got a ridiculously long last name. So just get in contact with me, and I'll try and help you as best I can. But hey, Jesse, good to see your smiling face, brother. Good to see the Californian sun has not dented the tan.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. We'll talk to you soon. And again, thank you everyone for tuning in, and hopefully found this useful. Thank you.
Okay, cheers. Bye.